Wait, am I audible?
Yep. Prime Minister, whenever you're.
Starting in 3, 2, 1. Attempting to catch Ash's Pikachu is a futile attempt that causes him to Meowth a significant opportunity in achieving their future goals, even if they also we will contest. We prefer them to pursue getting Giovanni's affection in other ways. 3 pieces of framing on what Jessie and James want. I just want to note at the top, section 2.3 of the Ludic manual gives us reasonable leverage to decide what an actor would do in this house would motion. Jason Zhao keeps saying these in his speeches, so just remember that. So they probably shouldn't contest this. First thing, these people probably care a lot more about Pokemon than they do about the recognition of their boss. They've firstly risked their lives for these Pokemon multiple times, including their own. They have given up Seviper and Weezing in the forest after they got tired of seeing them get beat up every day. So in order to protect them from Team Rocket, they released them. They cried for a decently long period of time in that episode afterward. Jessie also never gives up Wobbuffet, despite quite literally Wobbuffet quite literally messing shit up for them literally on a constant basis in the Hoenn region. This alone shows she cares more about her Pokemon than Pikachu. But even if you don't buy this spec, these people have raised and fed these Pokemon for years. They've taken care of them and nursed them back to back to health during near-death states, after getting electrocuted, after getting flamethrowered, like all this shit. Like, it makes sense you wouldn't want to keep your asses kicked. The second thing, though, is that there's reasons that they have joined Team Rocket that don't involve capturing Pikachu initially. Jessie had her mom die in an avalanche caused by Team Rocket. She had nowhere else to go, was just a kid, so she was actually coerced into working with Team Rocket to begin with. James belonged to a rich family and wanted to separate from them because they were abusive. He's kind of having a midlife crisis and being away from his family by hanging out with friends. Very queer. Third thing, Meowth learned to walk and talk to a female Meowth, but ended up feeling alienated. This is why he joined Team Rocket, to find a place for himself, because he was weird and not like a normal Meowth. The goal is for them to make a place for themselves. It's a group of misfits. They don't really care about Pikachu. Why do they want Pikachu then? It's literally just to impress their boss. They claim every episode it'll give them mad riches because the boss will reward them handsomely. It's never happened. All this means that if they're in a sufficiently stressful situation, which we will prove, they will leave Team Rocket because they have other real preferences. Trivially, in some seasons, the show Team Rocket is working alone, always trying to capture random shit. And other seasons, they're fully working coordinated with the rest of Team Rocket, like in the X and Y season. There are degrees to how attached they can be to the organization. What is our counterfactual then? One, we just say that you should likely hunt for other Pokemon or do other things you can be rewarded for by Giovanni. Like, Jessie's a Pokemon coordinator, that can earn a lot of money. She was only second to May in the Hoenn region. James is rich and could just go back to his family. Meowth is a fucking talking Pokemon that scientists all over the world want to research. Probably they can get paid like you did at the LC Open, or maybe some people like Muzzy didn't. All 3 of them are incredibly talented and capable, very smart Pokemon trainers. They've literally caught legendaries in the X and Y, awoken the most powerful Pokemon in the world, and literally could catch just about any Pokemon aside from Pikachu because of script writers that they wanted. If they wanted to make the boss happy, then they could capture other Pokemon. We know Giovanni has a revealed preference for powerful Pokemon. I'm going to explain this more in depth later. And Pikachu also just isn't that powerful. Pikachu lost to Snivy in the first episode of X and Y. They constantly lost to random Pokemon that are not very strong, like Pidgeys. Even if Pikachu is powerful, Pikachu's stats are quite limited in the game, and any third evolution Pokemon like Garchomp is just more powerful and more valuable to Giovanni. And also, just why does it have to be Ash's Pikachu? There are other Pikachu in the world. Notably, there's a Pikachu that can control the fucking ocean, the Kahuna episode, right? Separately, Giovanni just likes other Pokemon. This means that if they're talented, they have the ability to fulfill their preference outside capturing Pikachu. Pikachu is arbitrary. So why then is Giovanni never going to give them respect? What does he care about? 4 reasons. 1, he's a revealed sociopath. He only cares about power and money and not the lives of his subordinates. He invented Mewtwo by torturing the cutest Pokemon, Mew. Like, literally knew that this Pokemon, Mewtwo, was going to be the most powerful in the world and still believed that he was more powerful and he could keep Mewtwo under his control. Notably, even after Mewtwo literally nuked his scientists and killed many of them, he did it again in the second Mewtwo movie after the first time Mewtwo escaped. He also tried this in the X and Y region with Zygarde and Team Flare. Second reason, he's never given them respect for past feats, Jessie and James. They've captured Togepi, a very rare Pokemon in Generation 2. In X and Y, they captured many rare Pokemon. Giovanni didn't give a shit, right? So the third thing here is he's completely in it for the money. He runs a gambling ring in Viridian City that sells rare Pokemon, also coerces people into gambling and spending money in Generation 1. In Generation 2, he returns to Goldenrod City's radio tower to brainwash all the Pokemon in the Johto region so he can make them obedient and sell more Pokemon in the Johto region, even after his demise in the original season. Notably, in the anime, he notably brainwashed Meowth, one of his own Pokemon, and he got him trapped in like a big bag, right? Jessie and James and Meowth are also clearly queer, and Giovanni hates queer people because his goth son is also speculated to be queer, and he disowned him in Gen 2, so he hates queer people, and we can't support that. Those are 4 reasons why Giovanni's never going to give them respect no matter what. Why is capturing Pikachu likely harmful? Why will they never capture Pikachu? Firstly, they're constantly just getting fucked, right? These people every day, every episode are getting blasted off again by electricity, by fire, by lightning. Their lives are constantly in danger, and they are constantly losing. They're never winning. This is a huge moral harm to them as well. Every time they're just like, what the fuck are we doing here? There's also just clearly an unbearable amount of pain to their Pokemon, given the framing I gave at the top. Secondly, you just feel like shit when you constantly lose to a 10-year-old. This kid's never aging. Ash Ketchup. Like, he literally, like, it'll never go. You can't ever put this behind you when you keep getting beaten for like literally the 1,000th episode. And thirdly, you're constantly just never getting respected, Giovanni. Go ahead, POI.
Right, you have to recognize that they are not in that much pain. This is cartoon violence. They're always fine, never have severe injuries, never break a bone. Everything's good with them. The laws of physics do not apply.
Okay, so if your case is going to be, this is a cartoon, and consequently it's a good thing for people to get beat up in cartoons, I'd extend your logic to other things in life. It just doesn't apply. The pain is not, like, the pain still is permanent in the eyes of these characters and their character development. That's the reason they lost their Pokemon, right? They no longer have them in future episodes. So I don't think that applies. Okay, so all of this, like, what is the weighing here? Deep personal harm to Jessie and James all the time at the trade-off for a deep potential value. They're able to make a lot of money. They're able to capture other Pokemon. They're able to get other forms of recognition if they were just not to capture Pikachu. And potentially maybe they could become friends with Ash, right? They actually work together sometimes. Becoming friends with Ash is probably a cool thing because he's the protagonist. He can get you in with all the other cool people. He could get you to meet May. Everyone in the Pokemon community simps over May. Like, these are kind of important things that Jessie and James need to realize. Proud to propose.
We thank the Prime Minister for what was a fine speech, and now we will be peace and sign off. Let's invite the leader of opposition here.
Cool. I assume that I'm still audible, so I'm going to start in a few seconds. Cool. I'll start in 3, 2, 1. We're going to be very simply by almost even actually biting the bullet. I don't think they ever actually have to catch Pikachu. What matters is they believe that at some point they actually might. I think a lot of the things that Matt talks about, or they sound quite cool, and unfortunately you spend too much time watching the show. You can have a lot of these things on our side because debating is not about giving examples, it's actual analysis. So on that, I think I have 6 points of those. Starting with the first one, I think when you look at the Team Rocket, I think this is quite intuitive. Their technological contraptions they come up with every fucking episode, or we see them with every time, these things cost a fuck ton of money, right? And they're pretty marvelous. Meaning whoever is paying them, meaning the organization from Team Rocket, is still funding all of their fucking endeavors, even though they messed up so many times, right? Because like also believing that at some point they will catch Pikachu, but moreover, please know that it's not like they're doing any other job or not catching other Pokemons, which is what Matt wants them to do. They're still doing that on our side, right? But then in so many episodes, they're not even after Pikachu specifically, they're just like randomly walking to Ash and we see them catching other Pokemons with a huge vacuum and being like, look, Pikachu, we might as well try again. Because please note, to the extent to which they're still hired by an actor, they will probably be fired after 1,000 times trying to do a one single job and not succeeding. So these do still have the other job. Also know the context. These people literally travel the world, have a shit ton of money to do whatever they want, vibing and making and using the flying balloons and everything. I think their life is pretty chill and they choose to keep prioritizing trying to catch Pikachu. They choose to keep trying to catch him even though they're getting hurt. When we were to analyze why is it the most important thing actor cares about, also direct engaging with all the fucked up Giovanni things, which I think are cool. Look, the first thing, I think it's Thrill of the Chase. They came close so many times, right? They literally held Pikachu in their hands. It's the only Pikachu, and please understand about man, that actually isn't safely protected, right? It's guarded by a 10-year-old kid who is, to be quite fair, quite a shit trainer. And not entering the Pokeball or wanting to like actually protect him, and Pikachu refuses to go into one, right? Meaning it's exposed. It's probably the easiest one to catch, and not like the powerful ones controlling oceans and shit. Because please tell me, Matt, if they failed so many times catching 10-year-olds with fucking small Pikachu, how are they going to catch the other ones, which you think is somehow a counterfactual you can run? We can see them not giving up and being relentless, meaning they care most about Pikachu, right? Because they wouldn't have given up 1,000 times, but please not. We think, therefore, they inherently believe they have a chance of succeeding, and they also get confirmation bias every time from their Boston organization that literally give them the money to keep going and trying. Because owning like a new machine, getting really close and creating the mental imagery in their mind that they're actually going to do it. And thirdly is the excitement that keeps them like going and feeling like they have a finite goal to strive for in life. Know that this is not actually that rare or that sounds so crazy. No, most people in life actually live like this and they don't fall apart. I think a lot of us do have a mental imagery of like our final goal that we want to achieve in life. I think analogous is for debaters. I would really like want to win worlds, right? Is it going to happen? Probably not. But do I have the mental imagery of winning worlds? Definitely. Do I want to strive to do it in the next couple of years? I definitely will, right? I think if I'm striving for that, I'm still doing all the small things around. I'm still going to get hurt debating. I'm still going to cry and feel bad or whatever. I still am doing it because the finite goal of me believing I'll sometimes get there is actually something that I think is going to happen, and I value it in and of itself, the mental imagery. I think most people live like this. I think them just saying, oh, they value something, but all the small steps don't matter. I think they choose to disregard all the small steps and them being harmed because they care about the end goal so much, and it brings inherent value to these characters every time that they think they can actually do it. But why specifically is that the case? And this is the third point. This is sense of honor. They're like a small family that is codependent and have a goal that unites them, right? And the Meowth story, like that is basically almost like a sort of child. And look, Matt analyzes all this for me, like all their backstories, how fucked up they are. Know that they now have a small echo chamber of them feeling like they have someone that is similar to them. They're doing the same thing. They're literally dedicated to life to catching this one fucking small annoying Pikachu, right? But the most important thing is you internalize your role day by day by trying to do the same thing, because you have made yourself believe that the purpose that you have on this world, or the you three have, is to hunt down specifically these creatures so you can be the ones that have actually achieved something so specifically important, and not just doing all of the things to get to it, right? But I think this is very important to actually create this sort of sense of relationship and belonging that these people have, meaning that yes, are they going to get hurt or like thrown in the air or whatever? Do we actually see them caring about it at any point in time? No, because they do genuinely believe that what they're supposed to be doing with their life, based on all the points of analysis I just gave you, is that they are supposed to hunt down Pikachu in the end. But why is on their side worse? What is the comparative? You have to admit defeat with all of these things in mind. You have dedicated so much time to this one thing. You're completely giving up means you have abandoned so much of what you work for your entire life. I think on their side, you're always going to regret and think you could have done it because of so many times you've genuinely came so close, and why they keep doing it. At a point, if they just somehow stop and just focus on doing the normal fucking job, I think they're going to keep asking themselves every day, but like, we can't, maybe if we just created another machine, maybe we actually could have, gotten Giovanni's respect, or maybe we actually could have fulfill our own goal. But on their side, they're never actually going to get to try again. I think it's going to be stuck in these people's minds because they've spent 1,000 episodes, not know how much time that is, I would assume a lot, actually trying to catch this fucking thing, right? I think they completely admit that when your one goal and purpose in life that you had is gone. I think that if you want to talk about like how people then psychologically affect, I think that's what happens. Because unfortunately, I don't care about Giovanni's particularly, right? And if he's a sociopath and they have a Stockholm syndrome, they're never going to leave the organization anyway. As Matt says, they're not going to get his respect anyway, right? So to the extent to which we care about these individuals fulfilling their own goals, what is unique is them believing that they're actually going to succeed the goal of them having it for themselves, right? That they can say, we have caught Pikachu, right? I don't necessarily, unfortunately, know on their side how any the analysis about Giovanni specifically changing on their side. We just keep doing the same things, but not hunting down Pikachu, except they don't get hurt as much, but they don't care about that anyway. I'll take a PR.
Muzzy, you're muted.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Your fault. Look, last thing, which I also think is really cool, while they actually might get respect and support from the organization even more, even if they don't get it. Look, I think when they're working side by side with Ash, they are just coincidentally and accidentally stopping the domination of other organizations taking control over the market, such as Magma. Know that Ash somehow always finds himself in unfortunate circumstances, fighting and being targeted by other companies that pose an inherent threat right to them because they're going to catch other Pokemon and sell them. They have fought side by side with them against these specific organizations, and very often they have have been the tipping point that have helped them win against them actually catching other Pokemons or defeating Ash, and they were able to suppress their domination against other companies. I think this is also inherently valuable to the extent to which you're still a part of a system with an organization that is Team Rocket, that you're inherently sort of helping, not getting completely, pushed out of the market by other companies, by just sort of being there because you were trying to catch Pikachu, and also having that goal in mind, fought side by side with Ash, and actually had another benefit brought to the company as all of the other things, even if you did not catch Pikachu. So for all of these things, you have to look at the analysis of what psychologically actors care about. Will they might get hurt? Yes. Are they going to care and feel more fulfilled in their life till the end? If they believe they're going to succeed at some point, they will. For this reason, oppose.
We thank the speaker for what was a fine speech, and now to extend the case inside government, let's invite the Deputy Prime Minister here.
I've slept like an hour, so let's see how this ends up going. I just haven't slept my night.
Right.
Maximum chaos time. 3, 2, 1. Right. First thing I want to talk about is what Jessie and James care about, because I think this goes practically unresponded to from Matt's speech in terms of the framing. Look, I want to be very clear. Jessie and James care a little bit about capturing Pikachu, but the reason they want to capture Pikachu, unfortunately, is to impress Giovanni. That is why they aim to capture Pikachu in the first place. It's not the case that they want a fucking rodent for no reason at all, right? But the second thing to say is that I think they probably care significantly more about their own Pokemon as compared to the counterfactual where they're trying to capture one Pikachu for Giovanni. This is evidenced at the point where Matt gives you 3 layers of analysis on why you probably care a lot about your own Pokemon, the fact that they've literally been raised and bred with you, the fact that you've consistently taken care of them and are probably really, really close to them, the fact that you've literally seen them get beaten up for you, you probably have a really close relationship with them. What does this mean for the debate? First thing then is on the trade-off and why this is really, really crucially terrible for Jessie and James, right? The arguments we get from opposition is basically, but this is the only purpose you have in life, and therefore you cannot abandon and admit defeat. Firstly, I would just contest that this is the only purpose you have. I think you've probably been doing this for some time, but I genuinely think that at the point where they tell you that you're capturing other Pokemon, at the point that they tell you that you're engaging in massively different acts all the time, I just genuinely don't think this is probably your only purpose. That is to say that Elo's case is in tension with itself when they tell you that you're probably doing lots of other shit and you randomly interrupt Ash at certain points. That means that their own case and own analysis refutes this. But the second thing to talk about then is just on why it's the case that you're necessarily, this is probably not your only purpose. First, I think there's other ways to access Giovanni's attention, and that's probably your major purpose within this debate. That is to say that the only reason you wanted to capture Pikachu is with this. Why then are you likely to do this on our side of the house? Firstly, you don't consistently fail. That is to say that you can engage in other attributes or other interventions that are necessarily likelier to make it succeed. What does this look like? It looks like probably going out and hunting other Pokemon. It looks like literally going out and probably finding more rare Pokemon. The only response we get from finding another Pikachu is, but Ash has the one that's most catchable. That's blatantly false. I think there's thousands of Pikachus available within the wild that you can probably capture. There's they literally exist throughout the entirety of the Sinnoh and the Horn region. I genuinely don't know why this is the one Pikachu that you necessarily need. The second thing to say then is on why the trade-off is just so terrible, right? In terms of having to do this. What is the comparative and what do you think you're likely to do on our side of the house? Firstly, I think you're likely to explore life significantly more. What does this look like? It looks like probably traveling to all of these really cool places. It looks like taking different missions from Team Rocket. It looks like actively going out and doing things that you necessarily wanted to do or probably notably, we're able to say that you're going to do this because this is this house with motion. What does this mean for the debate? Firstly, we think you're likely to experience significantly more things in your life. That is, Jessie and James probably get to do things like new Pokemon out there. They're probably able to engage in things like different experiences, i.e., you're probably able to explore new cities. You probably get access to new places. Second, you're probably able to catch different Pokemon. They're going to be able to do similar things. That is to say that you probably get quite a bit of respect from Giovanni at the point where you capture some good Pokemon. The last thing then to say is that I think this is always The last thing then to say is that, like in purpose, I just genuinely don't know why this is the only way you're going to get any form of purpose. Like, I don't know why you're admitting defeat. Firstly, because I think it's probably good to admit defeat at this point. At the point where you've literally like lost like 1,000 times, I think it's probably perfectly legitimate to do this, because like you're going to keep losing. That means that you ought not be worried about this in particular, right? The second thing then, I guess I want to talk about is just going to be about like why you care more about your own Pokemon and why that's like really, really important. The first thing to say is that I think that in most instances, you probably care most about your own Pokemon. Why is this really, really important then? First, I think it's likely the case that a Pokemon get consistently beaten up when you try to interact with Ash's Pikachu. Look, guys, I think there's three things to note under this. First, when you continuously go after Pikachu, you get beaten up repeatedly. Notice that that's literally just plot armor, i.e. you're probably never going to be able to capture Pikachu insofar as the scriptwriters don't really want you to. What does this mean for the debate? First, it means your Pokemon are going to consistently get thrashed and consistently get beaten up. But second, you're probably consistently demoralized at the point where you're literally consistently told there is no way for you to get ahead in life. There is no way for you to literally beat a 10-year-old. The comparative is, yes, it might feel terrible for like, I don't know, a month at the point where you're able to say that like, maybe you feel terrible for a month at the point where you're like tired of like not getting Pikachu, but then you're probably going to be able to move on because one, individuals tend to do that all the time. Like you often leave things like you thought were your purpose. Like I, at the age of like, I don't know, like at the age of 18, thought that I really, really loves physics. My dad was like, nah, you're not studying this at university. And I realized that like CS better, like that happens to individuals all the fucking time. I just genuinely do not know why you cannot shift your life's purpose. The second thing to say then is just the last thing then to say is just on like what this means for like your group and like why it's perfectly legitimate that you're probably still going to stick together. Firstly, I think your group extends significantly beyond like what they're talking about, i.e. I just don't think it's the case that your group like Meowth, Jessie and James are linked together just because they have to catch Pikachu. I think they're probably there because one, they've gotten quite close to each other, but second, because I think there's probably other incentives for them to be close to each other. That is that they probably relate to each other in terms of different experiences. I genuinely think that taking up another mission or making it your life mission, I don't know, to fucking make like Jessie the best trainer in Hoenn or like whatever, I don't really care, is probably perfectly fine in either world as well. Sure, I'll take a POI, I don't care.
Your case hinges on the exclusivity of Team Rocket caring more about their own Pokemon than Giovanni. Do you agree that when I prove there is no exclusivity and co-opt your frame, you lose this debate?
No, I don't agree to that. Bye-bye. Anyway, let's get into the next bit of framing on exclusivity and other things. I think like first to access Giovanni's respect, the most important thing to note is that this is not the unique Pikachu. But the second thing to say is that if you're consistently capturing Pikachu, there's a time trade-off. That is to say that there is a massive degree of exclusivity in terms of optical harm, i.e. at the point where you're consistently not capturing and getting beaten by a 10-year-old, you're probably the laughing stock of Team Rocket. You're probably consistently told by your peers, these are the two people who consistently lose to a 10-year-old. Even if you engage in other good things, even if you manage to capture a few more Pokemon than them, that doesn't take away from the massive optical harm of literally being the massive laughing stock of the entirety of Team Rocket, i.e. you're consistently losing to a literal fucking 10-year-old while being middle-aged people, and that you're obsessed with catching a Pikachu that's possessed by a 10-year-old. Like, I genuinely think that your Team Rocket probably laughs at you all the fucking time. That's probably something that changes on our side of the house as well. Cool. Wing. Finally, I think you just get access to more utilitarian things on our side as compared to theirs. Like, you're probably able to do more experiences, probably able to do better shit. Like, I think, yeah, what does? Bye-bye.
We thank the Deputy Prime Minister for what was a fine speech, and now to extend the kiss inside up, let's invite the Deputy Proposition here.
Can I be heard?
Yep, loud and clear.
I really could have made my bed before doing this on camera. All right. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. What I mentioned in the POI and what they didn't agree with, I'll just jump right into this. They talk about this as a futile attempt, and then the Team Rocket care more about their Pokemon than they care about their boss. Cool. I'll say opposition says that Team Rocket is capable. We agree. They are capable enough to be valued by their company highly enough to be supported consistently in their efforts of catching Pikachu, to co-opt the framing of government. And they don't have exclusivity in that sense that they say, oh, they care about A, we have to prioritize A Pokemon or B Giovanni. I'll co-opt their frame. They do care about their Pokemon. And inversely, to the same note, their Pokemon care about them. something that is very clear between the interaction of all of Team Rocket and all of their Pokemon is that they consistently show affection for their Pokemon, and their Pokemon share an affection towards them. James loves his Wobbuffet, and his Wobbuffet loves him. It's very clear that they act as a consistent unit and as a family. They show this caring persistently by striving for their common goal. They and their Pokemon are united in a common goal of catching Pikachu. Even if this goal was ultimately futile, and you as an objective observer know this, even if they knew that it was futile, they still strive toward that goal to prove to themselves that they can do it and to prove to their Pokemon they could do it. This is how they keep their close-knit family together, by saying we shall strive towards the impossible. We shall strive to do that which has defined us many, many, many times. We won't take the easy route. We won't become random street thugs. What we are going to do is try again to fulfill the goal of our family. But once they give up, once they do what Gov suggests, then their family can start to fall apart. Then they become regular grunts and thieves who are just members of Team Rocket, nothing special, could be any other person with an R on their chest. They need this to prove to themselves for the reasons that they could, for the exact reason that Gov says they could do other things. They could be successful in other fields, and they don't. This shows the inherent intrinsic value of this towards Team Rocket and to their Pokemon, who have not only been obedient to them as a random Pokemon you catch, but actively loving and caring towards them. This shows the intrinsic value that they have a priority for this, that this is something that defines them. Furthermore, they go hungry because they spent all of their funding money on contraptions to catch Pikachu and to catch Pokemon next to Pikachu. This is why they inherently care about this. This is what keeps their family together. And this is why, on the framing of caring about your Pokemon more than your boss, opposition side wins. Because it shows that this is the way that Team Rocket can continue to uphold their family value and motivator for them as a group. Before I continue, I'll take a point.
Did Team Rocket come to existence when they started trying to catch Pikachu, or have they been together for a much longer time and are probably closer because of that?
Okay, I don't care. I don't know the specifics when Team Rocket came together. The point is that what is a primary motivating factor currently in Team Rocket is the fact that they will try to catch Pikachu, the one that got away, the futile task, the one that they need to prove themselves. And even in the beginning, it might have been about proving to Giovanni. It might have been joining for other reasons. But what you should have listened to Olja's speech is that we analyze why they tie their own identity to Pikachu after dedicating so much of their life to it. It becomes the meaning and their meaning in life and their goal in life. This is why on different notions, even if they primarily had the motivation in the beginning to impress Giovanni, their motivation has evolved to proving to themselves. Because as Olja has told you, they obviously have enough resources to do something else, but obviously their work is being appreciated by the organization. Okay. And to the notion of doing other things as, oh, Jessie could be a trainer, James could be a whatever he could be, right? You cannot split this family. If Jessie goes to be a trainer here and James goes to be a trainer there and Meowth goes to do Meowth magical things, you split this family. This is the only way that the family can stay together. This is the only way it doesn't start to arbitrarily fall apart because they lose their sense of goal. This is how organizations do fall apart. This is specifically how families do fall apart. And you can't split the family by saying, oh, I'll go do my thing here, my thing there, right? It's not about being successful. It's not about being rich. It's about proving to themselves. And they rationalize by saying, oh, we're doing it to impress Giovanni. This is the goal we'll set, and this is how we'll achieve that goal. Not only do they have the thing that they'll impress Giovanni, they also have a clear path on how they want to impress Giovanni. They don't want to do it in a different thing. Government clearly explains this. They do our job for us by saying they could have done this and they could have done that and captured the legendary here and the legendary there. But they obviously prioritize not to do this. They're not explicitly idiots. They're people who understand this. But what they also understand is that this is the bad one. Okay, and to what we've just heard from the previous speech, oh, they could travel the world and get a lot of new experience. They do travel the world. They have traveled to every single place there is, every single region they have visited. They have the most new experience you could possibly have. They've traveled all across the world, following Ash, who also coincidentally travels all across the world. This point is semi-mute. And to what we mentioned in a POI to the first speaker, right? Oh, they don't get hurt, right? Okay. Firstly, you can't say, "Oh, plot armor. This is a show." People don't. The Team Rocket doesn't know that that Ash has plot armor, and they'll never catch him. They don't know the show writers hate them. But what they do know is their past experiences. They can rationalize, and they obviously do rationalize, that catching Pikachu can be done because they have been close. Yes, they failed 1,000 times, but they were this close to perfection. This means that it is possible. It is doable. Their plans just need more tweaking, but no, they're not undoable. But secondly, what they also know is that they can reasonably assume that they aren't in immediate life-threatening danger because they have been sent blasting off at the speed of light. But they have never been so severely hurt that they would need to spend hospital time or there's somebody who's on a feeding tube, right? They know that they're not in immediate life-threatening danger because A, they know that they're not in life-threatening danger. B, they know that they have funding and their work is valued by the organization. And C, this is the way that they fulfill their obligation towards their Pokemon, and their Pokemon fulfill an obligation to them. These are all the reasons why Team Rocket should actively pursue Pikachu, because we take away the harm that government tries to bring, and we bring you the benefits of how this fits into the Team Rocket's narrative, fulfilling their own goals and fulfilling their obligations towards themselves and towards their closest family. For all of these reasons, we are proud to oppose.
We thank the speaker for what was a fine speech, and now to conclude the case inside government, let's invite the government speaker here.
Right. Am I audible? Thank you. I am not going to turn my camera on because I do not look near as presentable as my teammates inside opposition. But with that out of the way, starting in 3, 2, 1. I'm quickly going to deal with this ludicrous argumentation that this is the only way to keep the family together. A couple of things on this. One, I think in the Hoenn region, when Jessie decides that she wants to become a Pokemon coordinator and fight in that Pokemon coordination league, James and Meowth give everything up, are literally there at every single one of her match, are her biggest cheerleaders, help her train, get their asses kicked, just so she can feel good about herself every single time. When James decided to go back to his family, or thought he was going to, Jessie and Meowth said that they were willing to give everything up, including Team Rocket, to be with him simply because they're family and they would love each other. Second, when James gets attacked or when James got kidnapped, both of them risked their life to save him. Moving on to Meowth, every single time that Meowth hasn't been in danger, or when Meowth was trained in the caves with Pikachu, they were literally freaking out because they loved him so much. They literally decided they would rather work with Ash and give up a chance to catch Pikachu as long as it meant saving their friend. All of this analysis tells you that you will literally never break up the family, even if you decide to give up Pikachu. Pikachu is not the reason that they're together. Pikachu is not the reason that they're friends. The reason they're friends is because they are misfits that have been screwed up by society every single time, and the only safe space that they have is themselves. Pikachu is literally just someone that walks into their life as a side character in there, and then they just decide to fuck around with him. This is literally not the main piece of Clash in their entire life. I do not understand why this is so important, or why they're going to be like, oh, but my life is over if I don't catch Pikachu. I do not see that happening. I literally do not understand it. Second piece of analysis under this is as to why this is not the literal basic purpose of Team Rocket. Couple of things under this. One is the fact that the funding that they get is not to catch Pikachu. The funding that they get is for other purposes that they're literally always scolded for, because they decide to use this funding to try to catch Pikachu instead of trying to do what they're actually doing. I think the other side of that. Second, so I think it's probably better if they use this funding for what it's actually supposed to be used for. They might actually not be alienated by their peers, might actually get some respect under Team Rocket, even if it's not from Giovanni. Second thing under this is the fact that Team Rocket literally existed for years before Ash even got his first Pokemon. I do not understand why Pikachu coming through simply is just this biggest thing that is going to be the tipping point of oh my god, we are now the best of friends because this 10-year-old twerp keeps kicking our asses. They do not give you this piece of analysis. I do not understand why this exists. Next thing is that, the way that they express their love to each other is by trying to catch Pikachu. That is literally not true. The way they express their love to each other is by risking their lives for each other, which they can still do in other ways. But also, they try to take care of each other. They feel each other food. Jessie has been shown to give up her food for her Pokemon multiple pieces of time at the point in time when she realized that they were going to go hungry and decided that it would rather that she go hungry than her. I think all of these things show that they care more about each other and their Pokemon rather than catching Ash or catching Pikachu. I do not understand why this is going to be the most important thing in this round. I do not understand why Op decides to hinge their entire case on this. Now, moving on into our case, moving on into our weighing, but before I do that, I'll take the yellow.
Yeah, just because you don't understand it means you didn't listen to my speech. I think we give you 3 points of analysis that even if it started with Giovanni, that how every time when you get confirmation bias, the thrill of the chase and the sense of honor, you genuinely tie your own self-identity and your purpose in life to this one specific thing.
Sounds good. Okay. I'm getting to that in a second. Sorry, that was part of our case. Okay, moving on into why there are other chances to be able to do this, why that it's probably preferable. A couple of things under this. What the LO tells you in her speech, all of that analysis is, oh, even if it started with Giovanni, you probably are able to do you're linking your own self-worth to it, etc. I am going to cite literally every single Pokemon episode at the point in time where they come up with a new plan to either catch Pikachu or any other Pokemon. Their mind does not go to, oh, we're going to fulfill our primary goal, what we've been trying to do for years. The thing that their head goes to is, oh, the boss is going to be so happy, he's going to give us mad riches, we're going to own mansions, etc., etc. I think these are, till the end, the very literal basis in their head, instead of trying to catch Pikachu. Why? We give you analysis as to why Team Rocket was the only place where they were able to find a place in society after they were hurt by everyone. Jessie's mom died. Meowth was scorned by his lover. James decided that he would not fit in with his family, etc. These are the only places where they have ever found a home. I think it is not the incentive that they're going to catch Pikachu, or they're just linking their self-worth to it. It's just that they think Giovanni is going to reward them the most. I think it is much more likelier that they're probably able to get much better benefits if they're catching other rare Pokemon and legendaries, which they have been shown to do. Why does this not have as much effect if they're also trying to catch Pikachu at the same time? One, I think Muzi tells you that there's a very active time and time trade-off, right? If I'm trying to catch a Pikachu for 8 hours a day and I'm trying to catch other Pokemon 16 hours of the day, assume that they don't sleep because they're kind of weird. I think at that point in time, there's an active necessary trade-off rather as compared to if I'm giving 24 hours of my day here. But even if they tell you that Pikachu is a very unique Pokemon, Pikachu is the only Pokemon that will ever make Giovanni happy, there are thousands of Pikachu in the wild. Team Rocket literally caught a whole bunch of Pikachu together in a large net, and the only reason that these Pikachu ever ran away, it was because they also wanted to catch Ash's Pikachu and would not give up on that. I think at that point in time, it is probably better to be able to decide to do on this. The only piece of rebuttal that the LO gives you on this is, oh, but like even if I'm not going to win worlds, I still keep trying to do so because there's a necessary final image that you have in your head. Here's the thing though, panel, at some point in time in your lives, you do have to give up on your obsessions. This is Jessie and James trying to keep fighting a 10-year-old for a fucking Pikachu and getting their ass kicked every single day is like a 40-year-old dino still debating college freshman, thinking that they're on his like 5th or 6th degree, still thinking that he's someday going to win a large thing, as compared to the LOs debating with her peers and trying to win worlds. I think there is a very necessary difference here, but also I think it's probably stupid to be obsessed with a 10-year-old. You're 25, like you're literally middle-aged adults. You are smart people, have been shown to be smart people. I think at that point in time, you can probably do it in other ways. But also, even if you are obsessed, I think they've been shown to be logical people at the point in time where they do put this obsession aside for other people. I think even if it might hurt for a few days, I don't understand whether this is going to be a lifelong hurt. They never proved this to you. Next, even in the best case of op, where trying to catch Pikachu is the only thing that they have in their life, and this is what they have imagined to be their ultimate life's purpose. Here's the thing, they're not 60-year-olds. They're not having like a fucking midlife crisis, or if they don't catch Pikachu, they're gonna die. I think there's always a time point where you have to characterize your priorities. At the point in time where we've shown to you through multiple layers of analysis, they care about more about each other and their own Pokemon. I think at that point in time, you can probably take the trade-off of, okay, I can give up on my life's goal for my life security. People do this all the time. Our parents have given up their dreams simply because they could take care of our families. I think this is literally what a family does. You give up on your lifelong passion to be able to take care of the people that you care about. If there's so much of a family, they're going to do this. Very proud to propose.
We thank the government whip speaker for what was a fine speech, and now to conclude the case on op and the debate as a whole, let's invite the opposition whip speaker.
Just to check that I am audible. Let me ensure I set up my notes. Okay, I can start in 3, 2, 1. Panel, the only way the government's case in this debate makes sense is that if they prove that currently the life situation for Team Rocket is bad, that currently they're living under tremendous harm, that currently they're really getting fucked over, that everything's bad for them. Let's then compare these two worlds that we are trying to compare here, because I think that for Team Rocket currently, it's excellent. It's a really good life. This is the framing we set up from the first of negation. Never engaged with. What do I mean by this? 1, you travel to literally every region that exists. If another region is invented in the canon, you will also travel there. Secondly, you have a shit ton of money that Giovanni is giving to you, specifically to hunt Pikachu and fuck over his main rival, that is Ash Ketchum, right? To do whatever the fuck you want to. What does this mean? This means that you can build air balloons, that you can build giant vacuums to try and catch Pokemon, that you can build one of the 700 fucking traps that you try to dig in the ground to catch Pikachu in the first season, right? But the thing is that thirdly, there are also a lot of other things that they do anyways, right? It's not that the only thing they do in the show is try to catch Pikachu. We say that when they see him, yeah, try to get him. But the point is that they still, like, you know, try to go to, I don't know, stadiums and sell hot dogs because that's what they decided to do that fucking time. Or they have a bunch of different costumes that they're doing. What's the point here? The point here is that currently these three have a goal that's tying them together as a family. That goal is to fuck over Ash Ketchum to catch his specific Pikachu. Yeah, Pikachu is rare, Pikachu is important. But the point is that at this point, Ash Ketchum has fucked over every single evil organization that ever existed, right? It's no longer a shame to be losing to him. This is the greatest goal you can go after. Everyone knows this, including us, but also including Giovanni. What's the thing here? This is why this goal is so important. This is why you cannot admit defeat. Because yes, you can try and impress Giovanni in some other ways, but this is not about taking the easy way out. For Team Rocket, that obviously has the self-confidence and the ego that they believe that they are the best, and they fucking say it every time they show up, that they're so brilliant and that they're the best, right? This means that for them, taking the lesser way is not going to be something that they want to. Even if sure, they're currently failing. One, rationally, from their perspective, they came close so many times to catching Pikachu. They're the single greatest threat Ash has ever faced, and Ash is the one that has fucking dealt with everything in the world, and everyone else has failed against him. But secondly, yeah, actually, that's the point, because from their perspective, they came so close, so many times. It's reasonable. It's losing battles, but not losing the war that matters here. But what's the counterfactual government side? And here, I realized I framed this up, and I'm so confused by this, because in the first affirmation speech, the framing that they give out is what the Team Rocket will do on their side of the house, is that Meowth will go and become a research subject, that James and Jessie will find some other jobs, right? One, this directly contradicted by the rest of the debate later when they say, oh, no, but they'll stay and try to impress Giovanni in some other way. But secondly, this means that they implied, hey, if we are not catching Pikachu, we will stop being a family. We will go away together. We will spread out. This is insane, right? This is not something that they can stand behind. Luckily, they backed themselves later so they can actually have a debate. But what's the thing here? So the thing here is that the only harm that they gave is that, hey, you're kind of failing currently and that feels bad. Oh, great, you're defeated by a 10-year-old. This is no ordinary fucking 10-year-old. I think everyone here knows this. But the thing is that other than that, there are no other harms. Why? Because my POI matters here. In this world, obviously the laws of physics, thermodynamics, and medicine do not apply. Because one, you can heal Pokemon just by putting them in a random machine. Second, you can have Pokemon that clearly do not follow the laws of thermodynamics. Why is this important? It's because this means that every single time they get hurt, everything bad that happens to them is healed the next day. And they're just fine. And they go on with it. And they try again. When they're blasting off and they should break every single bone in their body, including probably some of their children and their grandparents because of how big that fall is, nothing happens to them. They get like the black thing on their head. Oh no, they're hurt. And then they're just fucking fine. This also includes their Pokemon. Why is this? It's because their main rival, Ash Ketchum, would never hurt a Pokemon, would never seriously injure or hurt another person, right? But that's the thing that they have to now defend, is that, yeah, the harms aren't that great on their side of the house, but you have to tell these people that have the biggest thing in the world, that believe they are the greatest, they have the right now. I don't think they want to do that. That is a direct, because that goal of defeating the most powerful person in the world at this point, probably, that has achieved so much, is the one you strive for, right? Is the one you go after. Yeah, I'll take a POI. You're so happy to give it.
Thank you. Okay. Why is it so that they can't be trainers and test subjects together? But even if that is true, here's the thing. Even if physical pain does not matter, even if they break no bones, why is it so that the mental pain that they get seeing their friends and family in the form of the other Team Rocket members and their Pokemon get hurt every single time? Even if they don't break bones, it hurts because they scream. Why is the mental pain worth it every single time at the point in time where they know they're never going to win?
But that's the thing you're ignoring. They think they're going to win. They believe they have a chance. They came so close every single time. You know they're not going to win because you know it's a children's cartoon. They don't know that, right? You're breaking the fourth wall here. They don't have that ability. That's the fucking difference. They know that that pain and suffering is worth it because recognize there's something smart that Žnidar says. The thing is that when they are doing this for 1,000 episodes, they have expressed a preference that they want to do this. Now it's a question of whether they should continue doing this, but this means that they have an inherent value of trying to catch that specific Pikachu that they have expressed. You never contend with that value. You just say, oh, they'll be sad for a month. They've been doing it for 1,000 episodes. There's clearly some other innate emotional thing inherent to that Pikachu that they have given there, right? What's the point then in the end, right? I think one, their case relied on proving that there was some kind of harm here. They never successfully do. They try to say, oh, but we care more about our Pokemon, etc. And never actually prove that those Pokemon are hurt that much, right? All the Pokemon just randomly faint and they're like, pain, and they're fine in 2 fucking seconds, right? Or 2 minutes as soon as they get some rest. But the point is that the psychological analysis that Olja gives to you, that this is something that ties them together. This is something that allows the family to stay together is what matters. Because even though we met before debate, at the end, that's what ties us together. This is why you vote opening opposition.